And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, if you're just looking at the title of this video and you want to shut off the video right after I say this, I'll just say it. All modern Pokemon booster boxes that are valued under $200 currently are undervalued. That's it. Take my words out of context if you want. You could end the video right now and you'll just get that one point. All modern booster boxes currently under $200 are undervalued. But what do I mean by that? So obviously, there's a lot of modern booster boxes. We're still living in the reprint window. We're still living in the new Scarlet and Violet era, and we have Scarlet and Violet base, and then we have Paldea Evolve coming out. And the reason why I say all modern booster boxes under $200 are undervalued is because I'm seeing the strength of this market. I'm seeing what people are paying for stuff. I'm seeing just, there's just gradual upticks on almost all sealed product, especially when it comes to modern. And right now, the prices I'm seeing happen are actually healthy for modern Pokemon. Because what happened was we had something that was also healthy. We had a big correction period where there was a lot of booster boxes that, to be frank, were just overvalued. We're selling for way too much. I think there's the obvious examples of modern booster boxes that were way overvalued. I think everybody's like, yeah, maybe a Vivid Voltage at 220 was a little overvalued before the reprints. Or maybe Chill and Rain before, the reprints at 160 was overvalued. Or maybe Battle Styles. We'll never forget that there were confirmed sales of Battle Styles between 160 and $180. May we never forget that these were real prices. Maybe, and then even specialty products. Shining Fates, $120 confirmed sales. Never forget these things. So when I say everything under $200 right now is undervalued because, the price trajectories and what we've seen happen make sense now. We saw big reprints for a lot of this stuff. It crashed prices back down. And then as we're watching it, prices are just slowly starting to tick up. And that's what we hope to see. We don't hope to, and this is where I'm going to lose people, because everybody wants that right out the gate, banger prices never retrace, and they just keep going up and forever into perpetuity. And that's not healthy. But what we're seeing is healthy. What we've seen happen with Chill and Rain, where we saw massive dumps of that, push prices down to sub $80, and then we just seen gradual upticks for a set like Chill and Rain. One day it was at 80, the next day it was at 85, and then 90, 95, 100, until all the way up to where it is today. And the reason why I say every modern booster box that's currently valued under $200, or every modern booster box that is under 200 is undervalued, is because I'm just seeing how much everybody's paying for all other TCGs. And it's sure, it is hard to do that comparison, to look at where other focus is, but look at this, Pokemon. But it's pretty apparent. There's so much money right now in this hobby. And that's why we've been able to see the really good booster boxes, like your Evolving Skies, just run away. And there's a couple booster boxes, and I've told you, and I don't know how many times I've repeated the same fact over and over and over again. I'm just going to go on Pokemon Center because I'm not sure what's currently in stock. But I'm pretty sure I could take a guess just knowing booster box prices off the top of my head. But there's one thing I utter over and over and over again. Booster boxes cannot be available at PokemonCenter.com for prices to go up. And I think the big one, the one that sticks out above all others, is Brilliant Stars. I'm telling you, once Brilliant Stars is no longer available on PokemonCenter.com, Brilliant Stars will be that first booster box that starts to run away. And looking at, PokemonCenter.com right now, these are the booster boxes that are currently listed. You have Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, Chill and Rain, Scarlet and Violet Base, Fusion Strike, Paldea Evolve for pre-orders are up, Silver Tempest, and Astro Radiance. And when you look at most of those booster boxes and you look at the price, trajectories that they've done and the prices they've been managed to reach, the ceiling right now as we speak today for every single booster box I just mentioned is that PokemonCenter.com price, with the exception of Scarlet and Violet. Obviously, Scarlet and Violet, you don't want to be paying whatever MSRP, I don't even know, what is it, 160, 164, that's not what you want to pay. But as these prices and this stock starts to get eaten up, and it's going to take time. But that's the beautiful thing. If you're investing in modern product, if you're investing in modern booster box, you need to have time. If you don't have time on your side and you're looking for that flippability aspect of modern booster boxes, that can definitely be there if you time it correctly. But if you're doing it for more the investability aspect and not that flippability aspect, investability, flippability, two very different things. If you're doing it for that investability aspect, you have to have time. And for a lot of this modern stuff, you need to understand reprints is a real thing. But I'm telling you right now, looking on PokemonCenter.com, Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, Chillin' Rain, Fusion Strike, Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance. While I do believe some of these will get reprinted, they won't all get reprinted. And I think one of the most amazing things we will see is right now Chillin' Rain is still available on PokemonCenter.com at that 143, and that price is going to stay below 143 because obviously you're always going to want to get your cheapest price, and it's going to stay lower than that until this product is eaten up. But it'll be funny to watch the price of Chillin' Rain start to gradually tick up and go past that 143, and I'd be very curious where that price goes once this supply is eaten up. And that's why I say all modern booster boxes currently valued under $200 are undervalued. That's it. They're just undervalued at this point. And this is the funny thing too. Everybody will hear, oh, PK's calling all modern booster boxes, under $200 undervalued. And they'll be like, but PK doesn't like modern. And that is the biggest lie that's been perpetrated in the history of this channel and this hobby. I like modern, and I can say I like modern on every single video from now until the day I die, and people will still go with that rhetoric that I just hate modern Pokemon, and I don't know why that happens. But now, this is a point in the video where I'm also going to tell you that why I think all these booster boxes are undervalued, that are under $200. I also, in the last week, sold 2 more cases of modern booster boxes. I sold one case, I mentioned this in my last video. I sold 1 case of Evolving Skies, and I sold 1 of my cases of Chillin' Rain because I felt I was over leveraging Chillin' Rain, and I just had too much of it. And I just told you Chillin' Rain was undervalued because of where it's at. The problem is I just felt personally I could use that money and I can move it into different things and just turn and burn that money a little bit quicker than just keeping it sitting in that sealed product. Because for Chillin' Rain to go from 140 to $200, that's a nice gain. I'm not going to ever knock that. That's a close to 40% gain. That's very respectable. But I could just make that 40% doing a lot of the more turn and burn flipping plays I've been doing. And I mentioned this in a video not too long ago, but I had some big grading fees coming up this month, and I need to free up some cash just to easily pay those grading fees and stuff. And trust me, selling a case of Evolving Skies and a case of Chillin' Rain definitely helps with those grading costs. At least those grading fees I had to pay. But yeah, and it'll be interesting. So I always am very careful to talk about stuff like this, where I see product going, and one of the big things I always say is it's going to be really dependent on just the current feel of the hobby, the current pulse of the hobby. And right now, the current pulse of the hobby, in my opinion, is just very strong. Now, I do overly speculate on the people who make poor buying decisions. And to be honest with you, the person making poor buying decisions for any of those booster boxes that I just listed, especially Chillin' Rain or Astral Radiance or even Brilliant Stars or Silver Tempest, why I say I'm over leveraged or overly hopeful on the stupid buyers, because listen, you will need a buyer above $200 for these booster boxes, because if you do not have a buyer at those prices, then prices will never be able to get there. And I'm just overly confident that there will be dumb buyers there that will pay those higher prices. And why do I call them dumb buyers? Honestly, because I do believe in my heart of hearts that some of the people buying those booster boxes will be starting to make their positions in some of these booster boxes, but they won't make their positions until booster box prices go absolutely crazy. And we see that happen all the time. There's a lot of booster boxes recently that have had huge run-ups in price, and there's still people picking them up because I think they're acquiring positions because they just drag their feet I don't know why they drag their feet, and I talk about it as simple as Chill and Rain. When Chill and Rain dropped below $80, that was the time to buy. That was the time I made the video that people hate I keep mentioning. As I walk through the valley of the $79.95 booster box, I feel no fear no evil. That was the time to buy those booster boxes. Right now, I just told you I sold a case of them. To be picking up Chill and Rain at these prices, I'm not picking them up because all my position in Chill and Rain has already been built. But now, again, that's why I'm nervous about some of this stuff, is because there has to be somebody out there who will buy these at higher prices. It's just the problem is with the way I feel the market is running right now, there's just so many people are going to still be doing those buys. I don't know why. I'll never know that person. I'll never understand that person. The same way as I don't understand the person that buys a graded modern PSA 10 promo card. The same way as I do not understand that person. I will never understand the guy that buys a, Scarlet and Violet 001 Chinese promo in a 10. I will never know who that person is because I know what that price or card costs raw, less than $5, costs a grade in 15. Why? A card like that still has a weird small margin on it because they're still selling for $30. That's not a big margin, but it's a margin. And the fact that that margin's even able to exist baffles me. Always has baffled me. I've talked about this on a million different videos. I will never know who's buying that card already graded opposed to just doing it the graded play themselves. I've seen sales for that card raw as low as $2. $2. This is of that Scarlet and Violet promo drop from, the Japanese definitely, but the Chinese more importantly. Chinese dropped from 70 to 60 to 50 to 40. And now it's at 30. And my God, think of how much money there was to be made at 70 and then 60 and then 50 and then still even 40. And now we're getting to the point where it's not really worth grading them anymore because you're at the 30. But that's like an in-person type card. You can sell that at an event. You throw a $35 sticker on it, and then somebody offers you $30 cash, and you take that all day and you just walk away more or less skipping at that point. But that's it. I never understood that. I'll never understand that. But it's the same way as these modern booster boxes. In order for all these booster boxes to get above that $200 mark, the only way they ever get that high is you need buyers to bring it up there. But right now, this market is just so, in a way, disgustingly strong. And I see it happen. I watch auctions all the time. eBay, items end in soonest, newly listed. A lot of buy it nows. Trust me, there is a strong retrace going on, though, for some graded cards. Cards that have relatively low population for, newly graded modern cards. And I hate to use those words in the same sentence. Relatively low pop modern cards, because that is just, the most farce sentence you can say. It, shouldn't even be uttered together. But yet, it is still a thing. And the reason why I say that is because the first to markets for a lot of these cards always sell for greater premiums than eventually supply starts to hit. But there's been a couple cards I've graded myself, especially some hyper rare cards. And I look at the pops because a lot of times I'm looking at the pop just because I'm using the PSA photo in order to list my item. And then I'll scroll down and I'll see what the pop is. And I think the pop report for PSA, especially when you click on the individual cards, is definitely lagging very strong. But I'm always amazed at, have a pop of 40 for an ultra modern card because it is still a relatively new to market card. So pop 40 isn't crazy when a card like that will eventually have hundreds to thousands graded in the future. Any modern card will have these crazy numbers. But 40 to 50 pops, I'm seeing some of these sales at between $40 and $50 for PSA 10. Sometimes even less, and that's not a great place to be. So maybe people are wising up a little bit. But when I say maybe, who knows? Go look at, but then even on the highest, and I know people love to talk about stuff like this, the modern stuff, the stuff under $200. But still, go look at your PWCCs. Go look at the premium or the premier auctions. When you look at the premier auctions and you look at some of those big hitter cards, and you look, I think on this auction block they have a lot of good products. They have Team Rocket Returns booster box. They have a verified Shadowless booster box. I think they have an Expedition booster box. First edition Jungle, first edition Fossil. There's a couple booster boxes I was looking at, but and then there is like some heavy hitter cards too. There's one item that if I was more into Magic, if I had just some extra money to throw around, they have that sealed Alpha Magic starter or 60 card starter deck. And now if you know Alpha, those 60 cards can be randomized. Sure, you can figure out by like the way they're printed on the sheet how they're in there and stuff. Like people are able to do that, but when they're sealed, it's going to be randomized. And those 60 card starter decks could have the potential to have like, you know, Power 9, or more importantly, it has the potential to have like an Alpha Black Lotus in it. It is sealed. I mean, there's still like close to 7 days left on that auction, and it's already up to like $25,000. And that sealed Alpha starter deck will end up selling for a ton of money. And if somebody ever has the balls to crack that open and open it, that would be a sight to see. That is the equivalent of a first edition booster box in a way, but for Magic. But if I had that money, if I had extra money, and I was a little bit more into Magic, my God, that would be something that would be very, very enticing. And, I mean, even just, you think about, forget about Alpha, forget about Beta, but even like some unlimited Black Lotuses, what they sell for, you know, in high grades, forget about it. Again, the chances of pulling a Black Lotus in an Alpha sealed starter deck, very low, but it's still possible. And if that happened, oh, you'd break the internet. Be just an amazing thing. But yeah. So earlier today, I just looked down in the chat real quick. Somebody said you itching to open something from the poll. So earlier today, I put up a poll and I asked people what would be your favorite thing to open, and I gave them 4 options, and I said there would be one condition to it: you would not be allowed to sell any of the things you open. So I gave people what I thought would be like the more nostalgic hit, so unlimited base set pack. Then there was a Deoxys pack, so obviously you could go Gold Star hunting, try to get either Latios or Latias or the big one, get the Rayquaza, and then Skyridge, and then the last one was Team Rocket Returns. So the one I would pick all day, every day would be Skyridge, but that's not fair because I would pick a Skyridge pack over every single pack of every single set ever created. So that's not really fair for me personally. But I was surprised at how many people went after the Skyridge pack. It was close to about 50% of the poll. And there was a lot of different, people voted in that poll. But I think it would be fun if I were to pull up like Pokemon set list and just like kind of break it up into boxes. So I just pulled up a set list, and then I think it would be fun to like look at all of them, and then what would be my favorite thing to pull from each set. And I guess you could break it up in boxes. So, like if I had my choice of base set Jungle Fossil, Team Rocket, or base set 2 Team Rocket, I'm going base set if I'm opening a pack. Then Gym Heroes, Gym Challenge, that's an easy one. Going Gym Challenge all day. Gym Challenge opposed to Gym Heroes, just drastically better. And yeah, people will say like, oh, there's a Blaine's Charizard in Gym Challenge, which is true, but the Gym Challenge, my chase card in that is, take a seat, Moonbryon, take a seat, the original Moonbryon from Neo Discovery. But you want to talk about a good moon card, that Sabrina's Gengar with the moon behind it, that Gengar card with the moon behind him, that is the original like moon card. So definitely Gym Challenge. The next, Neo Genesis, Discovery, Neo Rev, Neo Destiny all day. If I'm going, obviously Neo Rev is fun because you could do the original shinies with the Magikarp or Gyarados, but I'm going Neo Destiny. I'm trying to pull that Shine and Raichu all day. Legendary Collection, probably just standalone. You open that. Expedition, Aquapolis, Skyridge again. Going Skyridge. Ruby, Sapphire, Sandstorm, Dragon. Team Aqua versus Team Magma, Hidden Legends, Fire Red, Leaf Green. I think a lot of people would say out of that block they would open the Fire Red, Leaf Green. But me personally, I'm going after Sandstorm, which I feel a lot of people wouldn't say Sandstorm. But if the old card shop is in the chat, shout out the old card shop. I know he would go EX Sandstorm. EX Sandstorm is like definitely one of my favorites. Then you get into a little bit tougher. Team Rocket Returns, Deoxys, Emerald, Unseen Forces, Delta Species. EX Team Rocket Returns, that's an easy one. Legend Maker, Hollow Phantom, Crystal Guardians, Dragon Frontiers, Power Creepers. why I want to say Dragon Frontiers, because I would love to like go pulling for that Charizard Gold Star. I gotta go Crystal Guardians. Crystal Guardians just a far superior set. Even if you just get hollows, you're still gonna potentially get the Charizard or the Blastoise. So I go Crystal Guardians. Then Diamond and Pearl, I guess you could split it up. Diamond and Pearl base, Mysterious Treasure, Secret Wonders. That's an easy one, Secret Wonders. Then Great Encounters, Majestic Dawn, Legend of Awakened, Stormfront. Stormfront. We're opening it up, Diamond and Pearl. We're going for that level X Raichu, and then especially with the Secret Rares, Stormfront all day. Platinum, Rise and Rivals, Supreme Victors, Platinum Arceus. Arceus would be nice because you got the 9-card Arceus subset, but no way. There's only one correct answer to this, and it's Platinum Rise and Rivals. And you want to talk, and people always say like, PK, like, what do you look for undervalued sets, undervalued cards? Platinum Rise and Rivals is the quintessential definition of like a super undervalued set, especially when you think about like the secret rares in there, and then there's like the original Pikachu reimagined artwork. That one's in there. That's a secret rare. You got like the flying Pikachu, you got the surfing Pikachu, but I mean the Alakazam's in there, like the Snorlax in there. The level X Snorlax is, I think it was the same as like the Japanese Domino's one. Is it? No, maybe it's different. Did we never get the Japanese Domino Snorlax? Either way, Rise and Rivals, hands down, like stacked throughout. Even like the hollows of Rise and Rivals, there's like a Jolteon in there. There's a Leafeon. There's a Glaceon in there. Like even the reverse hollows for Rise and Rivals, the Jolteon being A tier, S tier, S tier. We're going to go S tier with that Jolteon artwork. Next, if I had my choice of packs from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Unleashed, Undaunted, Triumphant, gotta go Triumphant. Because I gotta go for that Raichu again. Black and White base, Emergent Powers, Noble Victories, Next Destinies, Dark Explorers. I want to say Dragons Exalted, but yeah, I'm going to go Dragons Exalted for that. Boundaries Cross. This is an easy one, but it's a hard one. Boundaries Cross, Plasma Storm, Plasma Freeze, Plasma Blast, Legendary Treasures. So the obvious answer is Plasma Storm, because Plasma Storm you could either pull the Blastoise or the Charizard, and obviously if anybody ever pulled the Hollow Charizard from Plasma Storm, that would be like one of the coolest hits you could ever have. Legendary Treasures is like, I don't care for the gold stars too much, the Zekrom or the Reshiram, but Boundaries Crossed, I'll tell you what, I have a soft spot for Boundaries Crossed, so I would enjoy Boundaries Crossed, but yeah, Plasma Storm is, that's the answer, right? Like, you can't deny it. Then if you go to XY, you break it up. XY base, Flash Fire, Furious Fist, Phantom Forces. I think a lot of people would think I'm going to say Flash Fire, go Charizard hunting, but I would go Phantom Forces if I personally were opening. Primal Clash, Roaring Skies, Ancient Origins. Ancient Origins, definitely. Breakthrough, Breakpoint, Fates Collide, Steam Siege, Evolutions. Probably Breakpoint. Sun and Moon base, Guardians Rising, Burning Shadows, Crimson Invasion. I'm going to go Burning Shadows, go for the Charizard hunt. Ultra Premium. Ultra Premium, wow. Ultra Prism, Forbidden Light, Celestial Storm, Lost Thunder. Easy. Lost Thunder, going Lost Thunder all day. One of the most underrated sets in all of Sun and Moon, hands down. Team Up, Unbroken Bond, Unified Mind, Cosmic Eclipse. A lot of people would think I'm going to say Team Up, but no. Cosmic Eclipse is one of the GOAT sets of all time. Going Cosmic Eclipse. Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, Darkness Blaze, Vivid Voltage. Gotta go Vivid Voltage for the Chunkachill. Battle Styles, Chilling Rain, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, that's an easy one, Evolving Skies. Brilliant Stars, Astro Radiance, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest. Lost Origin's good, but you gotta go Brilliant Stars. But yeah, that's how I would, if I were opening up packs, that's how I would do it. If I like, you can't just do it all, you have to break it up and do like individual stuff. Last Pack Magikarp sent a super chat. He said, conservatively, what do you think the price of a booster box of Evolving Skies will go for in 5 to 10 years? Oh, just mystery question, huh? Because it's a super chat. It's going to go for more than it is today. That's about all I could tell you. There's a lot of speculation already built into Evolving Skies. 5 to 10 years, could be over $1,000. I think that's pretty safe to say. That's That's about 100% increase in 5 years. I think, could it go for more? Sure. I don't know. It's going to be probably the best performing booster box of Sword and Shield, but I wouldn't be surprised if stuff starts to become unavailable. If, like, it'll be the best set. But yeah, 5 to 10 year, I can't even tell you, like, conservatively. We could talk about this privately ish. So Pokey Snipe says, what's going on? Coming in late. I was just going through some of the sets and just like, if I had to break it up to different blocks, what would be some of the packs I would open? And then I talked about how I feel modern booster boxes are undervalued. Anything under $200 right now, just with how strong the market is. And I told you, there's just a cap to a lot of this stuff, and that cap will be PokemonCenter.com. And you don't believe me, you could look at your Sword and Shield base and your Rebel Clash, and sir, you can make the argument that those were relatively underprinted in comparison, but there will be that imaginary ceiling for a lot of these, and that's at PokemonCenter.com. But my God, I can't wait till Brilliant Stars is no longer available. And it's going to take a while. We're kind of just in the middle of that reprint window of Brilliant Stars, what's going to start trickling out. And it doesn't mean like go out and buy every booster box that's under $200. That's not what I mean either. I'm just saying, like, they are, for what they are, undervalued in this market. It just, I feel there's better places if you're doing that flipping aspect, but if you're doing the investability aspect, it's crazy to think that how strong this market is, and the market will determine this for the foreseeable future. So I'm just going to scroll up real quick. I'm going to run through the chat real quick. We got a number one mod in the game, Drew. See, we got Dan Catch'em All Collectibles. He always loves a good clickbaity title. But I would be surprised if, I bet you even Dan could make the argument of why modern booster boxes could potentially all be undervalued at $200. Anything under $200 is undervalued. I don't know why I keep like scrambling that sentence in my head, but yeah, all booster boxes valued at below 200 are undervalued. So we got Pokemaniac Dave, Micknick, Pokedon. Let's see. I don't see any questions. Leaf Green Goblin says PK wants funds for new positions. I want funds to pay some grading fees. So Sealed Entertainment says, I sold all my Evolving Skies at $400 a box because I believe a reprint is coming to knock it back to 200-ish. Maybe. Windows ticking on that reprint. I mean, every day that goes by is one less day and a little bit farther away from Evolving Skies reprint. I thought Evolving Skies reprint was very likely. We're still going to have some time to talk about it, but it's becoming less and less likely. But $400, I'm sure you had a ton of gains built into $400 a box, so you did pretty well. I would be curious, like, what you did with that money. Did you take that $400? Did you completely remove it from the hobby, or did you move it into other stuff? And man, it was a fantastic video. But shout out to Pokemon Classics. Pokemon Classics made a great video talking about some of the cards he sold before the hype that was Pokemon, and how much money he potentially left on the table. And again, potentially subjective, because you're talking about if he held on to all these cards and then potentially sold them all at the high and didn't keep holding on to them to a lot of the, he looked at all the highest prices. But one of the things Pokemon Classics talks about in that video is he used that money that he freed up selling those cards. While he might have sold them at lows in relative to prices today, he still used that money and bought more stuff in order to grow his collection. So you have to be very aware of the conversation that's being had, because at the time when he's selling some of these higher end, which are higher end PSA 10s now and were even higher end PSA 10s then, the dollar amounts he sold, a lot of the things he talks about is they were the all-time highs for the time. Like he created all-time high sales for these cards. But when you're creating all-time highs, in relative, all the other products that were surrounding those were still cheap. So he was able to free up a lot of cash. And I'll tell you what, Pokemon Classics has an amazing collection, and one that is much larger than most people really realized, not only from his graded, but also like sealed product and stuff. Like, Pokemon Classics has a decent size collection. And one of the reasons he was able to do it was by selling stuff, especially like the duplicates that he had, because he is a collector. And he was something a little bit different than a lot of people were. He was a graded card collector. So when he would sell some of his duplicates into the market to free up cash to buy more stuff, just rinsing and repeating and using this hobby to grow the hobby for himself. So Chad Fleming said, LOL, Ryan sent his premiere over the Rusty's Live that starts in 3 days. That is funny stuff. Ryan didn't even know this was going on. Let's see. Herman Jose Santos, good to see you, bud. Pokey said Brilliant Stars is his biggest pickup right now. I think it's a lot of people's biggest pickup right now. Yeah, Rattle pulled the moon beyond. Somebody said, yeah, so Rattle didn't have a Friday night premiere tonight, which he did have a great video. If you guys haven't got a chance to watch Rattle's video today, he talks about that guy that like stole that. I think it was like a PSA 4 Shadowless Charizard. And I never heard of the guy before. Guess was at Frankenstein's. He had a big name in the hobby. Again, didn't know him personally. A lot of people like vouch for him though. And it is one of the strangest, most confusing stories in this hobby of why this guy like absolutely destroyed any credit or destroyed his name in this hobby over a PSA 4 Shadowless Charizard, which is valued like right around 500, 400, maybe 550, 450, between 4 and 600. Let's just give it a big ballpark. But still, why are you going to destroy your entire like name for $500? It just makes no sense to me. So that was a crazy story. And Rattle, I knew Rattle was going to make a video about it because it was a lot of people were talking about it and he was tagged in it. And I know Opossum Bud had made a video talking about it, but I think Rattle was really waiting to get all the information before he made a video. And Rattle talked about this on the podcast that if he makes a video, he needs to know that he has all the information. And the big missing part of that information was that video. So I know Rattle was waiting for that video to come out. But yeah, it is a super, super weird story. And I really want to hear from that guy of why he absolutely destroyed his name over $400. So, but yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch that Rattle video, highly recommend you going and watching it. Pokey Tom said Facebook Marketplace is a great place to pick up sealed product tax-free. Taxes in Canada suck. So I guess it's also, you should always be paying your taxes. I thought he was going to say it's a great place to sell product tax-free, but you should always be paying your taxes as hashtag the IRS has entered the chat. Drew's given that good advice. He says, don't forget to hit that like button. And you guys are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Mick Nick says, Team Up just keeps climbing. Yep, you could have said that about Team Up last month and the month before and the year before and the year before that. Team Up is just, there's no denying what Team Up is doing. People are saying they're more hyped for 151. A lot of hype for 151. It's a great set, don't get me wrong. I'm hoping we still haven't seen the entire set list and what's going to happen. Sure, they have the big three with the EX cards, with the Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, stuff like that. And then obviously the Mews on the cover art. So you're going to see a Mew and stuff. But I am very curious to see what the secret rare chases are. We've only seen really the main set so far. But it's very funny. And this is why I'm saying it's very funny, because anytime people talk about modern Pokemon, people always say people will love what they're opening today and they'll continue that into the future, which is probably kind of the opposite when people talk about why 151 is going to be so successful, because 151 is just what it sounds like. That's hitting the Gen 1 nostalgia feels. When you look at a set like Evolutions, and why was Evolutions able to do what it's doing? Because it was a reprint of base set, more or less, and then obviously threw some fancy fuller art shiny cards in there and stuff. But Gen 1 sells, and people always say little kids aren't going to care about Gen 1, and I say it all the time. Listen, adults like to pull Charizards who grew up in Gen 1, but little kids like to pull Charizards too, because Charizard's still Charizard, and it's going to take a lot to take that crown away from the true king of Pokemon, which is Charizard. But yeah, that 151 set, it's probably going to slap. It's going to be a banger. I think it'll be hard pressed for it not to be. And if hype and demand continues into 151, we can see 151 doing some crazy stuff. Right now, it seems like potentially product is maybe not being underprinted, but Danny Phantom had a great video today talking about how while this product is still being available, it's probably just not being available from the normal like distribution chains you're used to. So your LGSs and stuff like this, because he brings up good points in that video where a lot of like especially websites that didn't have booster boxes for a long time, like Target's carrying booster boxes again. Scarlet and Violet base at $114.99. That was a good price. I only got my pre-orders at $110. I still haven't picked up positions in Scarlet and Violet because I haven't had good buying opportunities. So in the grand scheme of those booster boxes, $114.99 was a good price. Plus Target.com, you're going to get free shipping. All in all, solid prices. Even like some of the cheaper prices for Scarlet and Violet were like $120. And those were good prices. So to see it on a Target with free shipping at $114.99, that's good. But the question is, how much of this product, especially in the way of booster boxes, is getting trickled into these big box retails? And it's hard to say right now. I mean, it's not so much new. I know he talked about Best Buy having booster boxes too, but Best Buy's had booster boxes for a long time on there. The only problem is Best Buy always sold their booster boxes for MSRP, so it was never really a viable play. Sure, when the hype that was 2020 hit, all these booster boxes that were on Best Buy got bought up and went crazy, but Powerlifting 101. Wow, what a blast from the past. I haven't seen Powerlifting 101 in a chat in a very long time. Powerlifting, very good to see you, bud. But he says Powerlifting 101 might be one of my original 100 subscribers on this channel. But he said, I bought one case of Brilliant Stars at $85. I was wrong as hell about Shining Fates for the time being. For now, though. Yeah. I'm guessing he paid way too much for Shining Fates. Oh, or wait. I bought one case of BS. So that could be Brilliant Stars or Battle Styles. Maybe he's talking about probably Battle Styles for $85 each. But yeah, made a lot of money in Battle Styles, which is crazy. Chad Fleming said, why is Danny Phantom talking about PAL the Evolved short print? He wasn't. He said it's not going to be short printed. It's just going to be trickled out into other distribution methods that people are just not used to. I think that's more what he was getting at. So yes, a lot of people with smaller accounts being, LGSs, stuff like this, which does hurt them because those are the people that do have the competitive play. Those are the people that are helping this hobby, drastically, allowing, like I said, giving people a place to play for them to, have their allocations cut a little bit, especially PAL the Evolved. I have a feeling PAL the Evolve is going to be an absolute banger set. It's really going to suck for these people because that will be a hot product. I think PAL the Evolved long-term potential, fantastic. Saying long-term potential on a set that hasn't been released yet is a very dangerous thing to say, but I think PAL the Evolved is a fantastic set. Kevin Clare says, Pokemon obviously has lots of information at this point, how to keep this hype going. Good God, Moonbreon just keeps going up. Moonbreon keeps going up. Guaranteeing a V from Lost Origin. Looking at the price of that, it's going up. How many videos has Danny Phantom made in the last week just talking about Sun and Moon chases? He's talked, I want to say he probably has every other video at this point. Danny Phantom has made videos talking about Sun and Moon chase cards, seeing what those prices are doing. It's crazy. The demand is there right now. The market is so strong. I'm seeing it every day. Right now, I tell you the two strongest places. One, Raw. And I don't like selling Raw cards, but there's a lot of Raw cards selling for high premiums. I don't know why. I think maybe people are going for that chase, that graded chase. And again, I'm not talking about, okay, I got to be careful what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the most ultra modern plays. I'm not talking anything Sword and Shield block. I'm talking modern singles. I'm talking XY timeline. I'm talking about Sun and Moon timeline. Seeing what these Raw cards are selling at right now, crazy. And then on the other end is PSA 10s. PSA 10s just going bananas right now. Absolutely crazy. PSA 8s, PSA 9s, not doing great. 10s, raw cards, doing really well. I don't know why the 10s or why the raws are doing what they're doing. I think a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that people are just not super familiar with grading enough that I don't know if I think they're too blinded by those 10 prices and they're going like, it's possible you're going to pick up some raw cards eventually that are going to grade 10s. Just be very, very comfortable with condition because I've been seeing some prices of some raw cards, which in my opinion might have been like 8s, borderline 8s, borderline 9s, like right on that cusp, meaning there was very clear whitening issues, very like noticeable corner issues, and they were selling for greater than PSA 8s, greater than PSA 9 prices. So when I see stuff like that, I do like get a little nervous and just hope that people pump the brakes a little bit. But now, don't get me wrong, if that card is truly near mint and you do think it's a 10 contender, then yeah, you'll probably have to pay a little bit of a premium for that card raw. But I am seeing the other end of that spectrum where people are doing very bad buys. And I would be curious if people just get beat up time after time, like buy after buy, trying the grade cards, paying huge premiums, and just getting whacked with 8s or 9s. I hope that's not happening, but I do have a feeling. Cozy says it's a tough choice between Team Rocket Returns and Deoxys, but those are the only two choices in his opinion because at least he knows he's getting a cool reverse holo. Well, you're going to still get a cool reverse holo in Skyridge, but Team Rocket Returns is great because obviously you have the Torchic Mudchip, Treco, Gold Stars, but Deoxys, while you still have the Latios and the Rayquaza, the rest of EX Deoxys is just trash. I mean, trash. Salamence, that's going to be like your big hit. Where Team Rocket Returns, when you look at the holos, there's the Snorlax, the Zapdos. I love the Hypno in there. But like there's just so many good holos in EX Team Rocket Returns that it's just all around. So I would go Skyridge, Team Rocket Returns, Deoxys, then base set. Base set for me hits the like nostalgia factor, but yeah, Deoxys is a very weak set to open unless you're just going for that ultimate chase of gold stars. And then even that, if you pull the Latios and the Latias, they're two of the weaker gold stars. It is truly just like one of the craziest chases to open up Deoxys. Matthew Hutchinson said, PK, random question, but I don't think Japan ever got the Charizard VMAX UPC promo. I think that stays an English exclusive. So the VMAX, so you're talking like the Godzilla Charizard. Yeah, I don't think it did because V-Star Universe didn't have it. You're right. Does it stay English exclusive? Maybe. It'll be funny if that's a card that actually runs away. When you would have thought like the Charizard V-Star, because of how awesome that artwork was, you would have always thought of that as being probably one of the better performing cards. But that would be interesting. Alright, I just skipped to the bottom. I'm not even bother skipping back up. Brent Groover says, I feel Evolving Skies reprint is coming after Paldea Evolve. Pokemon knows what they are doing. They know they need to print Evolving Skies. Do they, though? Like, why do they need to print Evolving Skies? Is it just to, like, kill the price? That would be the only reason if they want to just kill the price. I would say that there's other sets that they need to reprint above Evolving Skies. Because Evolving Skies has already gotten 2 reprints. It got the first reprint. So you had your very initial wave of Evolving Skies. Then you had your reprint where it knocked prices down to booster boxes to $95. That was at the same line where you had Fusion Strike, Brilliance or Battle Styles, Chillin' Rain, and Evolving Skies all got dumped at that same wave, and then prices reached to $95. And then we saw that very last reprint of Evolving Skies. Booster boxes were selling between $170 and $180 at the time, and the reprint wasn't very large. People only got like 1 to 2 cases worth of allocations, and it dropped booster box prices down to $140, $135 if you were lucky. So it's already had 2 reprints. So does it make sense for it to have one more? And when you say they know they need to print Evolving Skies, I wouldn't say they need to. Because when I would say sets you need to reprint are sets that are very playable, have a ton of playable cards, and Evolving Skies just doesn't have that big playable card right now. especially when it comes to competitive, there's so much Evolve and Skies bulk on the market that people are able to build decks with whatever cards they need to pull from there. So I wouldn't say they need to. E-Unit says, PK hates Modern. Yes, as always. Keep it going. Mason Berry said, again, Evolve and Skies was liquidated at Sam's Club and Costco last year. It's done, yeah. Evolve and Skies did. Oh, man, those are some good deals. I don't have a Sam's Club or Costco's membership, but yeah, those are some good deals. When those, what was it, like $30 you got a tin and an ETB, and it was either like Evolve and Skies or Chillin' Ray, and then obviously the Evolve and Skies ones went crazy. Yeah. Spin Out Card says, PK has replaced my car radio permanently. Glad I caught this. Appreciate you, Spin Out Cards. Sealed Entertainment says, if anybody remembers, Evolve and Skies got hammered back in the day on a reprint. Evolve and Skies also has Skies in the name. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah, maybe you could be onto something, you know. I always talk about this, though, and I think people are very afraid to talk about this. I'm definitely willing to speculate on what I think is going to get reprinted versus what I don't think is going to get reprinted. And my thought on Evolve and Skies has changed. Rewind 6 months ago, I would say my thought process was it's going to get reprinted because that's what I thought makes sense. But as time moves on, I'm just getting further and further away from that. It's the same way I thought about Celebrations UPCs. I thought Celebrations UPCs had a very strong chance of a reprint. I didn't think that the Metal Charizard and Pikachu would be like a huge limiting factor in order to see reprints. Because when I looked at the Celebrations UPC, I looked at what the prices were doing right off the rip. Celebrations UPC's MSRP was $119.99. Prices never sold at MSRP. The only places you were ever able to find them at MSRP was BestBuy.com, GameStop.com. But again, that was like next to impossible. And then obviously PokemonCenter.com. Anytime Celebrations UPCs went up on PokemonCenter.com, typical website crash and craziness. In reality, prices of that never reach MSRP. And I thought like that was a very clear Pokemon is going to reprint this. And then I think Pokemon figured out what they did wrong with the Celebrations UPCs. And then when they printed the Charizard UPCs, they printed the Charizard UPCs to just full on printer burr mode and just said, you guys want UPCs? You could have them here. You could still probably walk into your local Target or Walmart and still pick up a Charizard UPC on the shelf. But with that same thought process, I always thought Celebrations UPC was a very high candidate for a reprint. And we just never saw one. We saw like small restocks, and then we saw a small restock in like Australia, like months after the fact, and we were doing all weird speculations then. But sometimes Pokemon just doesn't always print what they should. And when you look at the Celebrations UPC and you say, how many Celebrations UPCs could Pokemon in reality could have printed to crash the prices of that? And I think we kind of know with the Charizard UPCs, but it takes a ton of them. Nothing like the amount we did see. So Benji the Man said, would we say the Evolve and Skies stock that came back up on the Pokemon Center recently was just stock that was left over? Probably, because it wasn't huge. But it was a beautiful thing. Anybody who landed it. Shout out to Garen M if he's in the chat. Thank God Garen M messaged me privately on Instagram like 7 a.m. that morning. Was like, hey PK, by the way, these booster boxes are up. Because, and this is the irony of it. When I told you I only have one case of Evolve and Skies booster boxes left, that is the one case I still have. Is my most recent purchase from PokemonCenter.com. So that is a definition of irony. So. Fresh Tat says PK hates modern dance. Yeah, it's like the rain dance, but of modern. Fresh Tat says, did Danny do a Zard UPC short print window? No. Leaf Green Goblin said they kind of care. Yes and no. Pokemon does kind of care. They do kind of care. And I would say, if people are like, give me an example of recent products that Pokemon cared. And I would say, okay, recent examples of products that Pokemon cared is ETBs. ETBs were always very hard to find. And then some of the ETBs that went absolutely crazy, and the two that come to people's minds, I'm sure, are, and we're talking modern, right? We're not talking about like Sun and Moon and stuff, even though Sun and Moon base came out. But still, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage. Those were the two most expensive ETBs. And Pokemon said, oh, you want reprints? Here, hold my beer. And they killed those prices. I mean, Darkness Ablaze ETBs went from selling at a high of like 120 to 130 to a low of like 20. I mean, that was a huge drop. So I would say Pokemon did pay attention to that. Evolving Skies, I think they tried to do reprints. Like I said, they did 2 of them. It's tough. Sealed Entertainment says, PK, are you a buyer for XY Air booster boxes? I was a buyer. I am not a buyer for any of those right now. Those, for me, or anybody out there watching, if you are just now considering making positions in XY booster boxes, I don't know where to start. That's on you. That's not on me. Don't be a buyer of these booster boxes at these prices, especially like the really stupid ones. And when I say really stupid prices, like I'm looking at what, Evolutions are doing or Steam Siege. Listen, you had your opportunities for Evolutions. You had your opportunities for Steam Siege. If you miss the boat, sometimes you just miss the boat. The boat just sails away. It happens. Don't worry about it. Don't always look in the background. Listen, I wasn't here for the EX timeline. I would love to have picked up those last 4 sets. Holland Phantoms, Crystal Guardians, Dragon Frontiers, Power Keepers. I would love to own those booster boxes. But guess what? That ship sailed for me. I will probably never be a owner of a Holland Phantoms or Crystal Guardians or Dragon Frontiers or Power Keepers booster box. I probably won't, because that ship has just sailed for me. But sometimes you just gotta let things be in the past. And for me, when people ask you, am I buying XY booster boxes? No. I bought my XY booster boxes. I didn't buy cases of it. I wasn't buying cases at that point. I have mine, but sometimes you just gotta let stuff go. There's a lot of booster boxes I think back on, and we did the pack openings. Sets I love. Stormfront. Love Stormfront. Secret Wonders. Really love Secret Wonders. When you talk about Diamond and Pearl. I don't own it. I don't own a Secret Wonders booster box. I wish I did, but I don't. Sometimes things just, they go away. But you know what you can do? You can still pick up all the cards in that set for relatively cheap, especially if you shop around. Yeah. Sometimes you got to look at what makes the most sense today, opposed to just always looking in the rearview mirror. I got a magazine right over there. I made an entire short series. Charizard First Edition in that magazine is valued at $100. I don't own any PSA 10 Charizard First Editions. I don't. I'm never going to own one of them. I'd never be an owner of that card. I'd be a seller of that card, but I wouldn't be an owner. Some things just, I wish I was the Gary King Pokemon, and I wish I was just buying up all the Charizard First Edition cards for the last 2 decades. But I wasn't. He was. But there's just some things you just gotta leave them in the rearview mirror and don't worry about what you don't have and just worry about what you can get. And for me, that's how I look at XY Era booster boxes. Can XY Era booster boxes still keep going up? I look at the big ones, the Flash Fires or the Phantom Forces. Maybe. You look at some of the cheaper ones, you look at your Primal Clashes and stuff, and you look at prices, it's yeah, maybe some of that stuff could go up even for the cheaper stuff, or even the really, really cheap stuff, the stuff that were the last to run, like Breakthrough, Breakpoint, stuff that was just heavily, heavily supplied. These have already done run-ups. All these XY booster boxes have already done run-ups. Same thing with Sun and Moon. More importantly, same thing as Black and White. You don't have to go back that many years to start getting super cheap booster boxes. If you missed out your opportunities, sometimes you just miss out, man. Cheval says, so PK, you were nostalgic of how the Pikachu box topper boomed when you said it's undervalued, and now you're trying to do the same with every single booster box. Every single one. Only ones that are under $200. There's some booster boxes that are over 200. But yeah, anything that's under $200 is undervalued. It just is. Again, PokemonCenter.com. People will somehow always forget me saying that. That will always hold it back. People will be like, let's look at PokemonCenter.com and let's see what booster boxes are selling for. Oh, look at all the reasons PK is wrong. Like, that's how people spin my words. PokeKid96, PK, everybody talks about the Japanese and Chinese market, but what's your thoughts on the Portuguese market? I know nothing about the Portuguese market. And you said everybody talked about the Chinese market. Nobody was talking about the Chinese market. I'm talking about the Chinese market. Look, right there. See that? Chinese. Buy Chinese cards. You see this stack? Chinese cards. Buy Chinese cards. No. I mean, I just saw what the Chinese market was going to do before it did it. I think it was very apparent. And then now you got guys like PokeRev just open up Chinese product every other day on their channel. It was very, very apparent if you're watching that market. Very, very, very apparent. Now, what does the Chinese market do in the long term? Oh, especially Chinese market. Chinese base set booster box on PWCC Premier Auction. I'll be very curious to see where that Chinese base set booster box runs. I have a feeling, I want to say I looked, it was like right around $9,000 at this point. But if the Chinese buyers are as actively engaged in this hobby as I think they are, I wouldn't be surprised to see that the Chinese base set booster box sell for a pretty substantial price, if not an all-time high for that booster box. And for anything to be selling for all-time highs coming out of that crazy boom is impressive, because again, I'm talking about Chinese base set booster box. When you look at just regular unlimited base set booster box in the height of heights, that booster box was selling for greater than $30,000, or right around $30,000. Now, base set booster boxes floating between like 10 and 15 grand. Almost lost 50% of its value. But I just told you that even though we've seen all the heights, I wouldn't be amazed if that Chinese base set booster box that's on that premier auction at PWCC sets an all-time high. Would not be shocked by that. Let's see. Wonder Boys 6 versus 5 says, in 2010, my buddy and I were ripping first edition Team Rocket boxes and base set 2 booster boxes for 200 and under per box. What a time. I would say if you were ripping base set 2 booster boxes for $200 in 2010, you are actually overpaying for base set 2 booster boxes in 2010. So, it's crazy to think, though, that a base set 2 booster box at $200 in 2010 was actually overvalued. I mean, you're not too far removed from the days of that being a $40 booster box. In 2010, you're only a couple years removed from $40 booster boxes. So Sealed Entertainment says, so a set of XY booster boxes is 10K easy number. I just wonder what's more likely, 20K or 5K if money leaves the hobby long term, just the other side of the coin argument. So I would say 20K is probably more likely than 5K. A lot of those booster boxes, especially XY, I don't see them. Again, you just gave like a broad number. If you added up all the XY booster boxes, I'm sure they're greater than 10K. That Flashfire booster box alone like makes up for a third of that price, or actually above a third of that price. But anyway, just again, I would say for XY booster boxes to go in half, 50%, unlikely. I think you would have a higher likelihood of some modern booster boxes potentially like cutting in half opposed to XY. I think XY, if you were doing like the investment aspect, would probably be the safer bet, because now those booster boxes do just have like a lot of organic demand to it. And I think a lot of that organic demand are people who are playing catch up, which, whatever. Catch up is what it is. You want to play catch up and try to like make your positions now, and I just feel bad for everybody who's playing catch up who are now trying to pick up booster boxes of like these relatively modern sets, but just paying crazy prices in order to like complete sealed product collections and stuff. Uh, Pokey Snipe says, I realize there's a lot I won't be able to get my hands on coming into the game a couple months ago, but you just gotta set your sights on other things first. Yeah, set yourself. This is what you gotta do. Pokemon is not a sprint. Pokemon is a marathon. If you run a marathon the same way you run a 100-yard dash, you will be absolutely gassed and you will never finish that race. You just have to run slow. And the thing is people ask this, like, do you think some of these like massive collections, are they repeatable? And the answer is yes, but they're just not repeatable. Like, you're not going to repeat what other people took them 10 years to do in 4 or 5 months. It's not feasible. Like, sure, you could potentially do it if you just spend crazy amounts of money, but you talk to anybody, with large collections, large positions in product, they're all going to have one common answer to you, and it's going to be they acquired this stuff over a long, long, long period of time. And long periods of time are subjective, but greater than 5 years, 10 years, it takes time. So just don't gas yourself right at the start. Like, just have a slow, gradual pace. And I always say this too. If you are somebody who strictly only buys and never sells, I can't do that. I just can't. I cannot grow my collection at the rate and the speed that I want to by strictly buying and never selling. I need to sell to free up cash to get the stuff that I truly do want. And I'll tell you what, sometimes when I pick up a card, like let's say I pick up a $500 card, sometimes it takes a lot of like $40, $50 sales after grading fees, after the cost of that card raw, in order to just, save up $500 in this hobby to buy that $500 card. Because now, once I buy that $500 card that is now part of my personal collection, that $500 is just completely removed out of my spendable cash. So it takes time. Even if you're making, decent flips, doubling up your $30 here, $30 there, $30 there, 30, 60, 90, 120, that's still a long ways away from 500. And that's just potentially one card in my collection. And then you get to the really high end, and then so first you start adding the $100 cards to your collection, then the 500 and the 1,000, and then potentially like you want to go for that real big like chase cards, the 10,000 plus. Once you get to 5 figures plus in this hobby, the entire market of cards, or entire pool of cards that are greater than $10,000 drastically shrinks. And you're talking less than 1% of this entire hobby are cards greater than $10,000. It's actually a fraction of 1%. So then it takes a lot of plays, a lot of saving, a lot of like that marathon type run in order to save up $10,000, and especially to be able to flip yourself into that. And people will hear it and say, well, it's not even possible to do that. You can never recreate what these other people have done in the past. And that is not true. This hobby is exactly the same as it used to be. Sure, it might take a little bit more work sourcing stuff, but it's still there. People do it all the time. But the problem is I made videos talking about this. You need to have the ability to stay liquid in an illiquid hobby. And if you have that ability to stay liquid all the time and constantly have cash available, when those good buys do come across you, you will be in a position to make those plays, to make those buys. And when you make those plays and you make those buys, that's when you're going to do really well. But if you get a $20,000 purchase comes along your table and you just don't have that available cash and you have no option but to push that buy along to the next guy, it sucks. And you might have hurt yourself with potential huge gains, or that one $20,000 buy or one $30,000 buy, that can be a game changer for you and change the entire trajectory of your collecting journey in this entire hobby forever. One buy. And sometimes it just takes that one buy, that one good buy, to change your entire trajectory, entire course of this hobby. But you need to be available to do that. So the people who are like, hey man, I got all this product, all these cards, all these booster boxes and everything, but 100% of their available like free cash, or is just tied up all the time, it sucks. doesn't suck if they love it, but it sucks when those big buys come across, I should say. Michael Corey said, "Hey, how's it going? Normally I watch on my TV, so I can't comment." Well, Michael Corey, good to see you, buddy. Also on topic, you see more and more booster boxes are being sold on Amazon, Target, Pokemon Center, and other big box retails. Yeah. So Michael Corey brought up a good point. I've talked about this on videos in the past. I do put on the Mason tinfoil fedora or whatever he has. Put on your tinfoil hat. I do believe that there was potentially a reprint of Brilliant Stars booster boxes that was 100% trickled through Pokemon Center, meaning that reprint never made it to anybody except for Pokemon Center. I do believe that because of the absolute astonishingly huge supply of booster boxes that trickled through Pokemon Center when it comes to Brilliant Stars. So Michael Corey could definitely be onto something. Rage Slime says, "Love you, PK. Man's a legend." No, Rage is the absolute legend in the chat. Rage is somebody that I definitely want to get on this channel. I think he would be a very good interview. Kind of pick his brain. He has I always say he's the smartest dude in the room. You can't get anything by him either, but yeah, he's one of the true good ones, man. Yeah. You see Drew says, "Yo, Rage Slime." Yeah. All right. Well, I made it to the bottom of the chat. All right, this is what I'm going to do. Don't turn off yet. I'm going to tell you something very special. As soon as this live is over, I will be hopping into the Rattle Discord and just give me 5 minutes. All I'm going to do is go upstairs, get a couple watery ass beers, and then I'll be in the Rattle Discord in the voice chat. If any of you guys want to talk Pokemon, if any of you guys do have some packs you do want to open, I'm always down to watch people open packs, talk Pokemon, bullshit Pokemon, speculate on the market, whatever. But yeah, give me 5 minutes. As soon as this live is over, I'll be in that Rattle Discord. I recommend you guys hopping in and just chatting. But for everybody else, if somehow you've made it to the end of an hour and 7-minute long video and heard me just ramble about nothingness, do me a favor, hit that like button. But more importantly, if you're new to this channel and you're just joining now, hit that subscribe button. But with that said, as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. If it wasn't for you, I would not be making these videos. And I'll catch you on the next video.